I kind of did a little, I was going through dates on Pluto and Aquarius, Saturn through Pisces, and that's really like where my head has been. And kind of like I was talking with you in email about like a retrograde review thing. And I think the way we just started this conversation is like a great segue into those things.
Okay. All right, I'm following your lead because
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, so I guess just to kind of set this up for people that are going to be listening, it's what, July 12th. We're just recording kind of we're calling it an off the chart episode of the Cosmic Dispatch. This is what Cory and I do. We get together and we talk and we review things and plan for future things. And we recently did an episode of the Cosmic Dispatch. Was that 2 weeks ago, I think, the full moon in Capricorn episode. And we kind of started to get into some really good, juicy stuff, but we didn't have time for it because we were limited by being on the radio. So we're kind of continuing that conversation today. A little bit of a retrograde review time. Cory, what do you have to say about it?
I'm here for it. Um, and also I'm just noticing something because we were chatting a little bit before you hit record.
Yeah.
Your voice, like you're upset, excited, both about
All
things.
the things. Yeah, probably. I'm also I have a sinus infection.
All right. All right.
Yeah. So we should talk about this because we talked about this briefly in that episode, that full moon episode. I was in Kingston with you for the summer solstice. I came back to Kansas City. When I was in Kingston, I had a little bit of a toothache starting to happen. I was able to take some Advil and move on. Didn't bother me too bad. Then I got home, and about 3 or 4 days after I got home, the pain in my face there's this nerve in your face, and that's what was sparkling and radiating throughout the right side of my face. So I went to the dentist. There was a cavity that I've known about for a couple of years in between two teeth. I ended up not taking care of it like I thought I was. I figured I could like brush and floss my way out of this cavity. That didn't happen. It ended up getting worse and getting down to the root of the tooth, which is what was causing the nerve pain in my face. So I ended up getting 2 root canals. And during that treatment, I caught some sort of virus. A couple of days later, I woke up with a really sore throat, like hurt to swallow. And I had sinus pressure in my face and like the sinus headache, but not any of the drainage that I usually get when I have those types of symptoms. And then on Monday, today's Wednesday, on Monday I woke up and it was like, I feel great. I'm over it. And then yesterday I woke up and my face has been draining since. So that might be also part of what you're hearing in my voice. There is also excitement. And I have a lot of things to say. So I'm excited to say things, but I'm also congested.
Well, I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so I was going through, Cory, and I was looking at the dates of this Saturn transit through Pisces. And we talked a little bit, you brought up in the show this idea of like the report card being presented, like a Saturn transit being this time or the Capricorn full moon being this time of your report card coming out. And so I thought that was a really interesting thing to kind of think about in regards to this Saturn Pisces transit. And it's making me think of the report cards that we're getting kind of on a collective level. One of the things that you had also mentioned was, Saturn is this social planet. So Saturn is also kind of the social structure of of society, right? And so it kind of got me thinking about this idea of toxic systems, sick infrastructure, and then all of the headlines that I'm seeing. There's I have a list of some headlines from the day Saturn entered Pisces, as well as the day Pluto entered Aquarius, because both of those things happened back in March. And all of it is very unprecedented floods, 1,000-year floods, unprecedented snow levels, but then also things like train spills, toxic leaks in the water, unsafe air from forest fires. What are your thoughts on all that, Cory? What do you have to say about that?
What do I have to say? Like, well,
What
as
can you say?
far as what this idea of a Saturnian report card.
Yeah. And then those being the things that are kind of happening, being talked about.
Well, Saturn and Pisces, which we have for the next 2.5-ish years. So that full moon happened in Pisces right along with Saturn. So it's really interesting to see all these water related it's like the report card is coming in through water. And earlier, like before you hit record, you were like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "Did you know that the water off of the Florida coast is 97 degrees, and like the killer rabbit seals, they're biting people because they're all, you know, fucked up on toxins in the water. Fukushima is gonna like release all their shit out into the water." And this is coming from I was talking to someone about a friend of mine who's going through a really hard time. It's like, you should take her on vacation, take her to the beach. And I'm like, the beach? We can't. I don't even want to go on a boat, because then you got like killer orcas.
Right.
Sharks on the New York coast. On a lot of coasts, people are start just getting bit by sharks. Then we have the seals, and then we have these algae blooms.
Yeah.
In Florida, like these fluorescent, like, and also, you know, the submersible unit with the billionaires on it. That was, you know, a lot of that broke around some transits to Saturn in Pisces. And I'm already losing time because I'm like writing about astrology like a month or two ahead.
Yeah.
It might have actually broke on the Saturn station retrograde.
Okay.
The submersible thing. So
I was in New York when it went missing, but I think I was home when we like officially got news that it imploded. So that, yeah, it was like summer solstice time. I don't have exact dates.
So, and I think that it was when Saturn station retrograde, I think. But so all of this, and then, you know, the massive amounts of rain that we got here on the East Coast yesterday, and we're not done yet. The ground is saturated. I think in Vermont, like they're really close to, if they get any more, like they're already in a state of emergency, but if they get any more rain, like dams are going to break, and structures, right? Structures are going to dissolve, break, fail because of Pisces, like this immense amount of water. And so we're also getting more rain this week. So that's all.
You know,
I'm not sure if that answered your question,
yeah.
but like that's how I see the report card coming through.
I thought of two other examples about this water thing. I just saw a news article about, I think they call them PFAS, the forever chemicals being found in water supply. but then also this idea of like the water system and like the water pipes that are currently in place just kind of eroding because nobody's like infrastructure just hasn't been a priority for quite a while. So then like the idea of like the actual structure of our water system poisoning the water that it's carrying.
Right. And then
Mm.
and then we have to think about the little fishies
Mhm.
swimming in wherever they happen to be, like whatever the toxic the toxin du jour is in whatever place, and where we're getting our fish, and are we being lied to about it actually being wild and okay, and yeah, and so it's
So
like it.
that's another interesting thing that I've seen in the news recently is this idea of like, what are they like lab grown meat?
Mhm,
Have you seen that?
mhm.
And so, yeah, and so it's and I haven't read a whole lot about it because I've been in a weird mental space and I need to kind of I need to heal and recover before I can get to, but I from what I and you may know more about this, Cory, but it sounds like what's happening is they're like growing lab meat from like stem cells of animals and then selling that as grass-fed beef or whatever it's stem cell like it's stemming from. Is that, do you have any more? I should have looked that up, I forgot about that. Do you have any more?
I haven't looked too deep into it, but of course, it wouldn't surprise me if, people are trying to pass off a product as something other than it is. And I don't care how many FDA stamps of approval it has, the FDA can be bought and sold. It's a corporation. It's not an organization that's about actually caring for the health of people. It's about maintaining profits for other corporations who are trying to sell us stuff.
So is this where Neptune enters the conversation, like the Neptune co-presence with Saturn and Pisces, and this illusion or selling dreams or misrepresenting reality? Would you what do you think about that?
Yes.
Mhm.
Sure. You know, people who are taking in a lot of astrology content right now, who are thinking about the Saturn Neptune co-presence, we hear a lot of things like, you know, making the dream a reality, right? It's like, wow,
Whose dream? What's a
like
dream?
and that's a total thing.
Of course.
That could happen. It's a
Yes.
it's a great time if you actually work with it that way, and Saturn, take the responsibility
Mm.
for your dream or your vision, and you do the Saturn work of starting to construct something. But it doesn't just happen. And if because it's Pisces and we're Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces, if you kind of just you know uh wait for your dream to like materialize because you're like wishing really hard, or I don't, whatever,
Yeah.
um yeah, I think you're gonna be disappointed.
It's
But
making me, oh,
oh,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say it goes the other way too. um Neptune's the modern ruler of Pisces. um Neptune can also do its work on Saturn. It like you get enough water, whether it's like running water or you just throw something in water, you leave it in there long enough, it's going to dissolve. If you get enough force behind water against something hard, it's going to erode. So there's also that where the the idea or the dream or the fantasy can kind of kind of hit this toxic point and start eroding the foundations and structures of something.
Yeah, okay. And okay, so then kind of piggybacking off of that, and what I was getting ready to say was this idea of like also the sick structure or the eroding structure becoming what becomes crystallized through the process of Saturn. So if Saturn makes things real. So I'm wondering if there's this, if this time that like, is this sealing it, like, I don't want to say locking in our fate, but is it locking in some of these sick systems or toxic systems or elusive structures and elusive visions? Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, and it can go that way. And I always like to offer a counter argument to like the prevailing messages coming out in pop astrology. And so we
Yeah.
have Neptune and Pisces. Oh, it's the dream, it's the imagination, it's the vision, it's the faith and hope and all of that, which are not yet real. They're in their like visionary state. But Neptune and Pisces is also the nightmare, the paranoia, the horror, which are not actualized either.
Yes.
So actually in Neptune and Pisces, you can have the most blissed out ecstatic dream, and you can also have your worst fear. And if you're not if you don't understand that you, both of those things, the dream and the nightmare, are not yet real, and you're not keeping track of what you're taking for reality, you will start to manifest your most fond desired dream, or you could manifest your worst nightmare. And so that's another way that can work. So I just like, it's so important because everyone with
Yep.
Pisces, they go right to the dream. And also if you have like a giant bucket of Pisces, if you just tip it the other way, you could be afraid of everything. And then whatever you do based on what you're doing with your mind, that could actually manifest. And I want to say one more thing about the Saturn Pisces thing. A good thing that can happen, which I don't know if it will, but I'm looking for, because all this water shit is like out of control or getting out of control, that there might be an attempt to have new regulations
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
like new clean water acts or clean water bills, where we try to remedy that with a new structure, new rules, etc. Saturn stuff.
Yeah. I think I absolutely, I really hope that that is able to come of this. And I think that in itself, like, sounds wonderful and great, but I think it's important to remember like that's also a process, and that doesn't have, it's a Saturnian thing. So it's ongoing, and it's something worth doing well from the get-go, I think. And so it'll be interesting to see who has their hands in that and what comes of it on the other side of it. I was looking at the dates for this transit. So what we're talking about is Saturn and Pisces. So just to give some dates for people interested in that, Saturn entered Pisces March 8th of this year, March 8th, 2023, stationed retrograde at 7 degrees Pisces on June 17th. And it'll station direct at 0 Pisces on November 4th of this year. So then moving into next year, it's going to reach 8 degrees Pisces, so it'll be past all of this in a new terrain come February of 24. It'll station retrograde again then in June at 19 Pisces, move direct, station direct on the 15th of November, and then it'll move into new terrain again. It'll reach 20 Pisces February 24th of 2025. And so it's going to do another retrograde thing in between the early degrees of Aries, late degrees of Pisces. It'll get all the way back to 25 Pisces before moving direct in November of 25 and then reaching 2 degrees Aries on March 3rd of 26. So this really is like a what is this, 23? So like a 3-year story where I think we'll maybe make a little, I mean, it's all planets and all retrograde things, right? But make a little progress, do a little review, maybe hit a setback or two along the way. And then I think, yeah, March 2026 will be in like out of all of this terrain.
Mm-hmm. And then I think we're gonna have Saturn and Neptune co-present in Aries.
I think so.
By the time Saturn moves into Aries, will Neptune already be there?
I was trying to look up the Neptune transit too, because you said a bucket full of Neptune earlier, and I feel like that's been my life because I have a 27-degree Pisces moon. So
that's right. And since we're talking about Pisces, Saturn and Neptune being there, I'm curious, what has your experience been so far? Because it's going to be there for a while. With Neptune, like just kind of sitting. It's just like
right on my natal moon
right
for
on your
28 years. No, not really, but that's what it feels like. I've been thinking a lot about, I have a lot of Gemini in my chart as well, and we're not going to get into that today, but that's contributing to this thing, this internal dialogue that I'm having around just dual-bodied experiences, dual-bodied time, experiencing time in a I feel like, and you and I have talked a lot about this, Cory, but I feel like I'm living in two totally different worlds. Like I have my outside world where I have friends and I'm social and I'm figuring a lot of things out about myself in relationship to those around me that I have one-on-one relationships with. But then I have this like internal thing going on that's been very like, there's been an element of loneliness to it and feeling kind of like I'm just bobbing by myself in the middle of the ocean somewhere. And I'm reworking some inside things. But then there's also this other element of I don't even know what's real right now or where to go to land because everything seems so bobby and weird and dreamlike. So it's going to be a weird couple years, I think.
I just got through writing horoscopes for August, and at the end of August, there's a full moon in Pisces, conjunct Saturn. You're gonna hit something.
Yes.
I think, but also I'm thinking about, so it's like right there on your moon right now. If we take the moon to represent the body and Neptune is right on top of the moon, you're in a place with your body where your resistance to whatever's outside of your skin is really low.
Yes.
Like everything's coming in. And so anyone else who has Neptune on their moon, yeah, mostly moon, not so much, not so much a sun thing, but if it's on your moon, it's like you need to find ways to support your whatever barriers you have, but like things like immune system and rest rest and don't overdo it and don't overexpose, like anything, like under this kind of influence, if you're, you'll probably be more sensitive to sun and allergens and
The air quality. I've never had issues breathing, right? Like with air quality. And that's what I thought when I first started getting sick. I was just having a reaction to, because it was around the 4th of July also. So there was a lot of gross in the air. And then I'm glad you brought this up, because that's also been in the front of my mind, because I had this tooth thing. Saturn's opposing my ascendant. So I had this tooth thing, and then I had my tooth experience led into this sickness thing, and then the sickness thing is kind of dragging out, and all I have the energy to do is rest and like take baths. So that's very much been, and I hope that's not forever. It won't be forever, but it feels like forever in it now. What about I'm scrolling through my notes here. I think we touched on a lot of the things that I was thinking of for Saturn and Pisces. I'm looking now at my notes for Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto entered Aquarius again in March of 23, and then stationed retrograde at 0 Aquarius at the beginning of May. I was trying to look back and remember. So, and then I don't know when it re-entered Capricorn on June 12th, so about a month ago. I was trying to remember all of the degrees from the conjunctions and things that happened in 2020 with Pluto and Capricorn. But I think those were degrees beyond I think those were mid 20 degree Capricorn, not late 20 degree Capricorn.
it was like 23-ish.
Okay.
On either side.
And so I've just been thinking about this 29 degree Capricorn thing, Pluto being at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and thinking about, I feel like Pluto, I was thinking, when I was writing these notes and in these dates, it felt kind of like when planets do this retrograde thing back and forth between two signs, I'm wondering if you would agree with this, Cory. It feels like training somebody to like take over your job. Like the old person is still there and that's you, or who, right? And like training the next and like those two things coexisting at the same time, and then that tension between.
Yeah, that's perfect. I don't have anything to say that improves on it.
Okay.
Yeah, Pluto was like going into the new office to check things out, having meetings with people. It's like it's you people who work in corporate America or even in schools will know this. It's like onboarding.
Mm.
You go to the new place, you meet all your coworkers, you do all your paperwork, you talk about, well, what, like if Pluto was walking into the new job, like, okay, well, let's reassess. What am I here to do? What's our goal after 20 years? What are we working on? Okay, I'll be back. I'll do all my paperwork, but I have to go back and I have to sort some things out. My old job and the new hire there. It's that, yeah, it's in between previewing and reviewing at the same time, or not even so much reviewing, considering how I've observed the shift in tone now that
Yeah.
Pluto has gone back into Capricorn. It's not a review. It's a finishing off.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
It is, yeah, I think you're spot on. I was thinking about when the note, there was a lot to do with like the TikTok thing and AI stuff, I think initially. And then I'm still trying to figure this stuff out, this Pluto thing out, just because I've been dealing with some other thing. I've been like Septune, Saturn and Neptuning is where I've my brain. So that I haven't quite figured out this full Pluto thing yet. But how do you think the AI stuff plays into this Pluto in Aquarius? What do you think is finishing off in Capricorn? Where are we going?
Well, just from the short amount of time that it's been back, like think about when did Pluto go back? I'm not even sure anymore.
When it
Um,
re-entered Capricorn, that was the month, that was June 12th.
okay, think about from March 23 to June 23. I feel like during that time, every time I read anything, it was AI this and social media that and chat GPT and self-driving cars. And that's still going on.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're back to bridge collapse, train derailment, weather events. Um, oh, and then like the Supreme Court
Yeah,
rulings.
that's the
Um,
one that yeah.
and so now we're back to government infrastructure, um, transportation, and all kinds of anything institutionalized. So yeah, government, hospitals, schools, um, even like relief efforts, because now we're starting to need some relief from
Yeah.
all the shit that's going on,
Yeah.
and who gets money for what. And then we're back on, I mean, we never really left, the Ukraine Russia thing, but now it's like, oh, where's more money going here? What's it going for? Like, we're back to infrastructure, and
Mm.
or the you know yeah, we're back to infrastructure. And so yeah, that's just, I felt like I felt that I kind of thought that would happen, and that's how I feel things are playing out, and that we're going to be like really still dealing with this for the rest of this year. And then Pluto at some point in 2024, I think it's in January, it dips back in, but then it
Mhm.
comes back out into Capricorn. And I don't know when it comes back into Capricorn a second time, but like if it's any time in 2024, we're going to be, eyeballs deep in the presidential race.
Yep. It's September of 2024.
Oh, great.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it stations direct at 29 degrees of Capricorn in October of 24. I feel like this 29-degree Capricorn is really being.
Yeah, it's finishing up, the job. And also, astrologically speaking, that 29 degree, the anaretic degree, that's basically when any planet is at that 29-degree point, it's like full up on the the archetypes and stories of that sign. It's like to the brim. And so that's when, when something's that full, or if you can imagine, like when you pour water in a glass and it's like
Yeah.
just about to spill.
Yeah.
It's so full, and then when it gets too full, it goes over.
Yeah.
But with a planet like Pluto, which is so slow, it means that we're at this point where it's like full for so long. It's not like, the sun at 20, that you get that for a day or two. This is going to be like months of of this much intensity. And then also I'm writing the Cosmic Dispatch episode for Sunday. So that's the week of the 17th. All the whole thing is anaretic degree.
Okay.
The nodes are moving back.
Yeah.
Aries and Libra, and that's going to be at the 29th degree. There's a new moon in Cancer that's almost at 29 degrees, but of course, because those move fast, they're going to hit Pluto and cross the nodes. We have like a cardinal grand cross going on pretty much all next week. And so I'm expecting I'm expecting some more fun times next week. Yeah.
I haven't looked at any of those charts for next week yet. I'm curious.
Oh,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've got my
like I feel like next week is probably I don't like to say best or worst. It's the most difficult week we've had so far in 2023 because of all those things. And on top of that, next week we're getting Mars Saturn opposition, which we're already feeling now, and we're getting Venus retrograde at the end of the week. So that's that whole week is intense. And
yeah.
like shit goes down that week. If you have shit to go down, if you don't have shit to go down, like good for you. But if you anything in your life is like that full glass of water, if it's about to go, it's gonna go next week. Or maybe even like we're in a lead up to it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, what are we where are we at today? There's a Mercury this week.
Mercury's doing all kinds of stuff this week.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that we ended up settling on this day to do this and talk about this stuff. But yeah, I'm astrologer problems, forgetting where I'm at in time and space.
I never know. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on this week. I think
Mercury's what is Wednesday? Yeah. Mercury just squared the nodes yesterday. And it's coming off of a trine from Neptune, right? Or is it trining Neptune right now?
No, it passed it because it just entered Leo.
Oh yeah, it did. Yep.
And so that means it already did. It did its trine to Neptune. It did its opposition to Pluto.
Yeah.
It entered Leo and squared the nodes. And I think that's it for this week with Mercury. Yeah. But that's a lot.
That is a lot. The opposition to Pluto, I found interesting. When was that exact? I'm wondering, just for my own. On Monday?
Tuesday, maybe, because it has to make. Oh no, Monday. Yeah,
yeah, Monday afternoon. Interesting. I'm thinking of personal life things. Oh, okay. Let me look at notes here, Cory. Is there anything else I don't even know how long we've been recording or where we're at. Is there anything else? Oh, what about like the Cancer Capricorn archetype? We talked a little bit about this in the homeschooling episode. Was that this most recent episode? And about this idea of redefining families, redefining structures. Do you want to talk about that now, or should we do another recording?
That's up to you. What about redefining families or structures. So those are big things.
That's huge. That might have to be another.
Okay.
That might have to be another conversation. I'm trying to see. Yeah, that is I have that on a different page of notes for another day. We'll have to do that another day. I think that'll be a fun conversation though. Okay, yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to say about this episode today? This off the chart, off the
No, as far as, I'm really feeling like you came in with a Saturn in, this is like a Saturn in Pisces check-in, and like timing wise, as like, yeah, this morning I was just like, just all the water, all the things going on that are being expressed through large bodies of water, and structuring around water has been really, I feel I feel like I'm like in, like I'm like swimming through things. And also literally, like I don't know how it is there in Missouri, but here, and I've like mentioned it a bunch of times, it's so moist. Like it's like constantly, like it's, I can feel the water content in the air, and it's not like going away anytime soon. It feels like a whole new climate.
yeah, it's here. It's been sunny here, but the storms are on their way. We're supposed to get rain and big storms tonight. So I'm curious to see what ends up happening. I haven't looked at I do have a humidifier going because of all the talking and the sinusy stuff so the air isn't quite as thick here yet, but I think it's on its way, and I know that feeling that you're talking about. It feels dense and like you're wading through. But then yeah, even just thinking about, I like my kiddos were in doing swim lessons. He's got swim lessons this week. So it's, yeah, like there's just a lot of water, swimming things happening.
Yeah, it's just I'm always like kind of dewy.
Yeah,
And I've noticed, like, this is the problem with Zoom. I like keep doing like stuff with my hair because like my my hair is not good.
Does it feel like weighed down and
It's like weird because of the climate, and so I'm like being like totally vain because I can see myself, and I'm like trying, like, how do I make my hair better? But like, yeah, it's just, I'm like just sticky all the time. And yeah, and when I look at the forecast, it's like every day there's like some like water, and
has it rained every day since I left?
just about. And before you came in June, we were having
Yeah.
a lot of rain, and then it just never stopped. So
Is it generally just hot this time, like sunny hot without the humidity in the water?
it gets humid, but not as a as an ongoing every single day thing. And like, and I've mentioned this before. It's like I just keep associating this like with Hawaii. Like Hawaii, in Hawaii, there are thunderstorms like a few times a day. They just roll in and they go. But that's a tropical
Yeah.
climate.
Yeah.
This is weird. So
It is
yeah,
weird.
that's so. Yeah, I feel like this was a meditation on just like what's going on in the sign of Pisces, and a review now that Saturn's been in there for a little while. Just what do we see happening since it got in there in March?
Yeah, so it's retrograde now. When does it station direct? November 4th.
November. Okay.
Yeah, November.
Well, so next week, when Mars opposes Saturn, I think we're gonna get another something with a water situation, or trying to control a water situation, or a water situation coming undone, or something. There's gonna be another like watery news story.
Yeah, what date you said? That's next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you're going to cover that in this week.
I am writing that episode now. That is a week. And also and I have a lot of friends who have some early Virgo, early Pisces stuff going on. Yeah, I would watch. Yeah, next week. I mean, now. Like that
Yeah.
opposition started. When did Mars enter Virgo? Yesterday, the day before.
Yesterday.
So that's like on now. But
I
that's
have
just
to think about I have
right.
early degree Virgo things. I have to I gotta think about that. Great. Okay, Cory. Well, I'm glad we got to do this. Thanks for letting me, I guess, sit in the driver's seat this time.
Thank you, Mandee. Yes, you need to do this.
Yeah, I'm into it. And I think, it's one of the things that I love about what we do, Cory, is everything has been so organic and natural, and it's just unfolded as it's unfolded. And so I appreciate the opportunity to have this type of conversation, where I don't want to say the roles are reversed, because that's not true, but there's just, I don't know. I appreciate the opportunity to be, I guess, the question asker or the conversation initiator. That's fun for me. And I hope that through this process, we'll be able to like fine tune that even more, and it becomes more of a regular thing. So
Yeah, I hope so too. And I think, yeah, it's good. It's good for both of us, and it's good for anybody who wants to join us.
yeah. Awesome. Great. Well, I guess we'll see everybody next time.